The full moon on Monday, January 13th, 2025 will actually be in the sign of Gemini with a touch of Cancer, so not just Cancerian energy. If this is contradicting what you're aware of as far as the mainstream astrology, it's because I'm talking about true sky sidereal astrology, where we look at the visible sky, charting the movement of the luminaries and planetary beings as they move through the sky on the line of the ecliptic through various star groupings or constellations known as the zodiac. This is how astrology is meant to be, harnessing the alchemical energy combinations of these various star groupings and luminaries, and then the effects that they create on Earth for us to have experiences with, essentially. Tropical astrology, Western astrology, is not that. It is a seasonal construct. I have a lot of videos on that if you want to learn more. But for now, let's get into what this full moon actually entails for us. I'm recording this video on Sunday morning, just about 30 hours out from the apex of the full moon, which will be tomorrow at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So let's have a look at the real sky as it is right now. The sun, as we can see, is in Sagittarius. Moving along the line of the ecliptic, there's our friend Ophiuchus, the 13th zodiac sign, right over the galactic center. Moving down the line of the ecliptic to the other side, because the moon is always opposing the sun when it is full. And at present, you can see the moon here just making its way into Gemini. It does move 13 points in the sky every day. So by the time it is full tomorrow, it will be conjunct Mars. So it'll be really close to Mars, right in the cusp. So it'll be like at the edge of Gemini. The moon will be in Gemini. Mars will be just at the edge of Cancer, and the two of them will be conjunct. The moon will then continue to move forward into Cancer, literally the day after the full moon, and Mars, which is retrograde in Cancer currently, will move its way into Gemini. So really we'll have both energies at play when it comes to the effects of this full moon and the aspects supporting it. And this is another thing that I really like about this lens of astrology. It is way more specific than tropical, but also Vedic, because Vedic does account for the precession of the equinoxes. So the sun will be in the right position, but it still uses a whole house or an even house system, which doesn't take into consideration that the constellations are different sizes. So like some of them take less than 30 degrees to move through. Some of them take way more than that, right? So we're looking at Vedic, it can even be off because basically it's almost a full sign off at this point. So looking at the true sky, we can see the nuances that it's not just Gemini. There will still be some Cancerian influences, and actually a lot of Cancerian influences in this as well. Okay, so let's have a look at the chart for the apex of the full moon tomorrow. I pulled this from masteringthezodiac.com. Athan Chimenti is the founder or developer of the True Sky Sidereal system. You can see in this chart that the uneven house system is represented by the different sizes of the houses, of the zodiac signs are on the outside, and also the inclusion of the 13th sign Ophiuchus in the 8th house with Scorpio. Okay, so looking at this chart, the most notable aspect for this full moon is the fact that it is conjunct Mars, which is retrograde currently in Cancer. It is cuspy, like I said, they're going to be kind of switching places, so we will have a combination of these energies. It's not just cut and dry. There is an orb around these constellations, so they will be blending the energies of Gemini and Cancer. Okay, so Gemini is mutable air. It is flexible thought. It is very cerebral. It is like the third house, which is knowledge. So it's looking at things from every side. It's thinking about things clearly. It's really being flexible in the way that we think. Cancer, the 4th house, is the roots. It is the mother wound, is the mom of the zodiac. It is cardinal water, so cardinal emotions, initiating emotions. Cancer, the crab, is the protector. So Mars being retrograde in Cancer, which is something that's been affecting us since early December and will be continuing to affect us until February. Really, this full moon is kind of like the midpoint of the Mars retrograde in Cancer. So Mars is the planet of doing, assertion. It is Aries energy. It is the self, right? So we've had this period with it being retrograde where we're re-looking at who we are, considering who we are, what we want, how can our needs be met, how can we meet our own needs, and how can we take better care of ourselves and the people around us. But remember, you take better care of everybody around you when you're taking care of yourself first, right? So Mars retrograde in Cancer is really bringing that into our awareness, okay? And we're at the midpoint of this. So it's kind of interesting because the full moon is also the midpoint of the lunar cycle and a status check, right? So we're having a status check not only from the intentions that we set with the new moon 2 weeks ago, but also from the beginning of Mars retrograde in early December. So looking at what has changed as far as your self-concept and how you're taking care of yourself since early December. But then also there's another layer because 6 months ago we had a new moon in this part of the sky. So just kind of looking at a status check or where you are in your development from 2 weeks ago, from early December, and then also from 6 months ago, which was June, just FYI. That was 6 months ago. This full moon will also be in opposition to Pluto, which is into Capricorn now. That's right. It is just in Capricorn, and it will be in Capricorn for the next 18 years or so. This is not a bad thing. It is necessary, okay? So Pluto in Capricorn is basically the destruction of systems and limitations that are keeping us stuck in an old rigid way of being. Basically everything that is built needs to be destroyed at some point in time, and so Pluto making its way through Capricorn is going to be bringing its wrath to anything that is limiting us from evolving into more spacious beings. So an opposition is a fairly strong energy. So basically they're pushing on each other. So on the one side we have this Gemini Cancer cuspy kind of energy where it's like the thoughts and emotions and how they're connected and like how we think about things, being more flexible in how we think about things and how we think about ourselves and how we can get our needs met, how we're taking care of ourselves, basically that mind-body connection, thoughts and emotions, opposing Pluto in Capricorn, which is destroying anything that is getting in our way from self-expression, self-actualization, and self-realization. While this is happening, we will also have a trine with Uranus and the sun. So Uranus is the planet of revolution and shaking things up. So really like a lot of potential to shake things up and make changes to your own individual structures and the way that you're doing things, the way that you're thinking about things, and how you're taking care of yourself. With the sun and Mercury also in Sagittarius, this is really giving an energy of expanding horizons, right? So my invitation to you or my recommendation with this full moon would be to really sit with yourself, make some space and get clear on where you're at, how you're feeling, what kind of thoughts you're having and how those are influencing how you're feeling. How can you take better care of yourself? How can you be there more for yourself? How can you value responsibility and discipline in a way that feels good and supportive, not in a way that is external and oppressive? How can you build structures in your life in order to support this? And also opening up for any insights as far as what may be keeping you stuck or holding you back as far as making progress and stepping into a new horizon or a new reality. I will be putting together the True Sky Sidereal astrological weather report for the week as well, so stay tuned for that. But for now, if you like this sort of content, you know what to do. Give me all the engagement, share it with somebody you think might enjoy this. Consider making a donation to support my work, and I'll see you in the next one.